A massive partnership that could change Lithia Bay forever is in the works. Universities in this region teach marine science without real access to the coast, meaning students finish degrees with few hours on the water, and classes compete for space on crowded piers. In Lithia Bay, there's a vacant hillside right near the water, ideal for a coastal campus. Exactly what these programs have wanted for years. So the city saw an opportunity it couldn't ignore. This could bring steady year-round residents, strengthen the local economy, and finally put a difficult piece of land to good use. That's why the city set up a partnership to transfer the land and fund the first phase. So today, we're building out our very first university campus, designing an overly complex interchange to serve it, connecting the Lithia Bay train station to the university, and getting creative to solve the challenges this site brings. Let's jump in. Last time I said that it kind of felt like Lithia Bay was a ghost town, and I found where all of our traffic is. It's all alongside this road right here. It's pretty much backed up as far as the eye can see. So we're gonna do some really quick fixes in order to get this in a better shape. It seems like most people just want to turn left. And that's because these are all delivery trucks of some sort. Well, we have one person moving in. I don't know why they wouldn't just use the highway. But yeah, most people want to turn left because they're all delivering something down to our industrial area or our little storage site right here. And wow, that forest fire is raging on. We really need to get some fire helicopters, but that's a problem for another day. Right now, we're going to focus on fixing this traffic. We're going to give a right sweeping turn for all these vehicles, and we're going to give a dedicated left lane for everyone turning left. So we're going to use this 6-lane highway right here. We want to turn off snap to zoning cell length, that way we can get directly in the middle. And for right now, we're going to send this all the way to right about here. Now we need to make sure that our left turn is on the inside, so that our 2 through lanes are continuous motions, and it looks like we've hit milestone 10. We get a bunch of money we don't need, a bunch of development points we don't need yet, but we will need for our university. We get a bunch of land permits, and then I believe we just get some signature buildings. That's great and all, but let's fix traffic. So we're going to grab our 3-lane 2-way highway, and we want to upgrade this so that the left turning lane is on the far right side of this road. Now we're going to grab our 1-lane highway, use our continuous curve tool, click from right about here, go up at a 90-degree angle, and curve directly in. Now we'll upgrade this part right here to be a 5-lane asymmetrical, and then this section right here will only be a 2-lane highway. We're going to ban the right turn movement here, so you can only go left. And now we're going to manipulate these nodes right here to make sure that we have 2 through movements and 1 lane for turning left that you merge into. And that's not very pretty, but it does the trick. There's only one more thing I want to do, and that's remove all U-turns. And with that, we should be in a pretty good place. I want to make sure our traffic is actually going to solve itself, and oh no, what have I done? Right, the road that I upgraded had utilities underneath it, but this one doesn't. So let's get all of that fixed. Okay, and everything seems to be in a good place. There's only one thing I want to change. This should be a through lane. They shouldn't have to wait for these trucks or vehicles to turn left here. Now for our university, this right here is our site, and if we take a look at it, we can see that there is a lot of terrain to contend with. It is not going to be an easy site to work on, but I've noticed that universities are on very weird and awkward sites, so I think this is actually a really good site. Now, we need to do a few things in order to make this work, and we're going to start with our train connection. We're going to take our double train track, make sure constant slope is on, and for now what we're going to do is grab right here, send it all the way across. We're going to turn on anarchy and make sure we're at least under 2%. Negative 1.4% is perfect with me, and we need anarchy because we don't actually own this tile, but it's going to be a lot easier to plan this out if we have this all the way down here. Now, the reason any of this is important in the first place is because we're going to take one of our train connections from our train station right here. It'll come all the way down, curve, break off somewhere around here. We'll send it down and over this road, and we're going to have our train station somewhere right here. This would be a really important connection because we want all of the citizens of Lithia Bay to be able to travel to this university without any issues. And we are going to have a few complex interchanges to get into the university, but I feel like this is going to be the most optimal way to actually get there if you're coming from anywhere down here or from Lithia Bay itself. Now, first thing we need to do, we're going to right click and remove our retaining wall. And we're going to have to do a bit of terrain work first before we go any further. So we're going to have a fairly small brush size, and we're going to pick a height that I believe could get us over, which I think is going to be somewhere right here. Should be enough room to get us over. And now we need to slope up to this. So right here, we're going to create a nice flat pad for ourselves. And then we're just going to start sloping all the way from here right up until that point. Now, with a little bit of luck, this will pretty much be perfect. We're going to find out in a second though. Let's upgrade our current train track down here to be a 3-lane asymmetrical. And as of right now, we're going to use our 2-way train track. We might go with our 1-way train track, but just for the planning purposes, we're going to use our 2-way. Let's grab our continuous curve tool, snap right onto this point right here. We'll remove snap to existing geometry so we can get a 180-degree angle. We'll click and we'll curve over. That gives us 1.8%. Now we're going to curve alongside here. We want to try and get the straightest segment we can possibly get. So let's draw that one in first. And this right here gives us negative 1.5%, which is perfect. We'll turn all of our snappings back on, and we're going to grab our simple curve, find that middle point, and connect right in. That gives us 1.8%. Again, perfect. I couldn't ask for any better. Now we're going to pump the brakes right here. Now let's reduce our brush size all the way to something like 30, because we're going to come right about here and just follow this contour line a tiny bit. We want to try and give as many straight angles as we can, just to make it a little bit easier on the train. And so this elevation is 574 meters. And if we can find 574, which is right here. Now we're not going to send our train track up here, because instead what we can do is just curve around this mountain, and we can probably come in somewhere right about here. Again, we're going to click on our train track right about there, come up at a 180-degree angle, and just try and get a nice gentle curve into this little section. Right now we're at 6.9%, way too high. Let's drop this all the way down to 1.8%. We're going to turn elevated on though. That way we're not doing anything weird. And I don't know what my definition of anything weird is, but that's definitely not it. Instead, let's reset our elevation back to 0, and we'll come right about here. We're going to make a nice straight segment. It's going to be ground level. And then right around this little bend, we're going to send another straight segment. Now let's create a nice gentle curve in. That's pretty much perfect. And now we can get rid of this track right here. We don't need it. We're going to do this in a much more easier way. Again, we're going to use our continuous curve tool, come all the way up at a 180-degree angle, and just see if we can get a nice gentle turn into this track right here. Alright, not gonna lie, that was much harder than I thought it'd be, but now we're ready to readjust the angle that this one's coming on, because we want to come directly at a 90 with this track. So this time what we're gonna do is snap to guidelines and just send this straight across. And if we turn anarchy off, does it still work? No, it definitely doesn't work. It kind of does right here, so we're gonna have to increase our height just a bit more. And this right here works apparently, so I'm gonna take it before I start breaking anything else. Now let's just finish this connection back in. All right, and then one last sanity check. How's it all look? A bit of work that needs to be done, but for right now, I'm ready to move forward. Now we're gonna place our train station in, and we have quite a few train stations to pick from, but I really don't want anything that feels too fancy. We also need one that's fairly small and doesn't take up too much space. And I really like this Eastern European train station. It doesn't feel overly fancy, but it still does have some personality to it. Now we're going to connect it just like this right here. And actually, I'm wrong. We want this building to front that way. Now I'm going to connect the passenger line in right away, otherwise I absolutely will forget. So we're going to grab this right segment right here, bring it all the way down to our train station, and then we're going to send this all the way back. And then we're also going to have one more line that'll go from our train station to Ashland and back. Now I'm going to name these lines, otherwise I will get them completely confused. So this is University to Ashland. We're going to take our trains all the way down to 1. In fact, we're actually just going to turn this line off for now. And for Ashland, they will have a slightly higher cost at $4. But for Lithia Bay's connection, we'll make it $2. And for the meantime, we're also going to deactivate this train line right here. I really hope I don't forget. So now we need to start working on our road layout. First thing we're going to do though is add a road directly to our train station, just so it can stop blinking at me. And that is definitely not right. Let's flatten out a pad this time. In order to see what we're actually doing, we're going to do a crazy amount of deforestation. And that helps us get a clear sight line on what we're actually working with. And we're going to have an interchange from right here. So here's what I'm thinking. Let's start with a 5-lane asymmetric highway, and we're going to upgrade right about here. And we want it to be pointing that way, just like that. Then we're going to grab a one-way, and I want to start branching up and over pretty much immediately. And we're going to do our absolute best to stay around 5% or under, although I'm not going to be scared to go a little bit higher if we need to. And now we're going to branch right. And we don't own this tile, so we're just going to enable anarchy. And I want to try and get a nice 90-degree curve. Now this will be one of our first branches, and this is essentially going to be serving as a guide. So we know that we need to get somewhere around here to connect into our train station and then start building out a road network. But I find it easier to have this first ramp ready to go so you can see where the next connection needs to be made. And we can see that that's right about here. So this time we're going to make sure ground level and constant slope are both on. And if we wanted to connect directly into our station, it'd be 2.2%, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want to see. So we're going to start following around this contour line. That actually came out surprisingly well. We'll worry about all of our sloping and grading after. For right now, we can move back down to do our second ramp. Or I guess it's going to be hard to do our second ramp if we haven't even finished our first one yet. So we're going to finish our first one and then we'll do our second one. If we made a straight connection in, that would give us 13.9%, which is way too rough. If we did something a little bit more like this, it gives us 6.1%, which I'm actually completely fine and happy with. So we're going to grab our 4-lane two-way highway and upgrade this stretch right here. Then we'll snap back onto our ramp at a 180-degree angle. We'll connect in just like that right there. And I don't like how that came out. Let's try that one more time. Now let's upgrade the rest of this highway back down to a 3-lane two-way highway. And that's because we're gonna need 2 ramps. One will go into this road. The other is gonna flip back around and connect on this side going this way. I think we're gonna work on our easiest one first, which should be the connection directly into here. So we'll snap onto this middle lane and just start sending it down. And I have a feeling we're gonna need to make this an elevated segment. Now we're gonna curve around and down at the same time. That's 6%. I can be fine with that. And I think we have a clear connection point. It's directly right here where the land starts to become flat. We're gonna grab our 5-lane asymmetric highway and just upgrade this section right here. And actually, I should probably be checking, am I breaking water or power? No? Everything's still fine? Okay, that's great to know. So then all we have to do is connect directly into this point. We'll drop our elevation all the way down to 0. That's negative 5.6%, which isn't too bad. And overall, it comes out looking pretty clean. A little spaghetti-like, but a bit clean. All right, now it's even more clean and I think looks a lot more flowy and realistic. All I did was just gentle this curve up a tiny bit. Now we're gonna continue this down just a bit longer, so we're gonna transition this into be a 2-lane. And this should give us enough room to take our 1 lane, snap directly onto this left side, and just start branching off. And it looks like we're going to start breaking things, so maybe we'll try from a bit further back. And I don't think any of that's the problem. I think we need to continue with this 2-lane just a bit longer. That gives us 0.2% on our curve, which is important to make sure people aren't doing anything too crazy. Now we're going to swap back down to ground level, and that right there will give us negative 5.7. And now here's the challenging part, trying to get this to be a non-janky bridge. Let's turn off ground level, we'll turn off constant slope, and we'll turn off anarchy and see what it gives us. 9.5% does give us a tunnel. It's a bit rough in terms of grading, but I think we're going to take it. Any tunnel is better than no tunnel, and I feel like if we do just a bit of work, we can make that a lot cleaner. Because right now it's really rough. Now there's one thing I regret doing, and that's adding this on-ramp right here. Because it doesn't actually need to be right here, otherwise it's going to make this section way more complicated. It would be much easier if this on-ramp started from down here, curved up, and connected into this lane right here. So I'm going to quickly rework this. All right, and so now we go from this to this, which is going to make everything else so much easier. It did require a significant amount of reworking, but now we should be ready to take this road, curve all the way down, make our bridge, come back over this highway, and then connect in somewhere along here. Okay, now we want to curve around and start to come out right around here. I don't actually know where we are in terms of the mountain. I hope we're higher than this road, but I'll take higher or lower, I don't mind. And we're getting slope too steep, and I'm wondering what is the slope here? I can't see it from that position. Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, there's no way we're making that happen. But apparently we can go under. Anarchy's not on right now, so we don't have any problems going under. And now all I want to see is that we have enough clearance to clear this road. And we do not, we come out way too low. And that's 8.9%. It is not perfect in any means. I'm going to take it. I really find tunnels in City Skylines 2 to be overly complex and difficult, and they're always a bit unpredictable. I might come back and fix this though. Knowing me, I probably will. But anyways, from here, we're going to start sloping downwards. And that is an absolutely awful curve. And yeah, that gives us enough room just to add in an asymmetrical highway right here. And just connect this directly in at 1.2%, pretty much perfect. I couldn't ask for any better. Now overall, how does this look so far? Not too bad. I really do like the idea of doing the tunnel. I like it a lot. It just needs a lot of love in order to make sure it's going to come out right. This one is the one that scares me the most because I know it's going to require so much work. So I'm going to start by leveling this area right here. Ooh, I already feel like I've done something I shouldn't have done. I hope it comes out fine, but then I'll take roughly this height right here and just start sloping upwards. Now if I smooth all of this out and pretend I didn't have to do all of that to get this to work, how does that look? Wow, that looks awful. I've got one more idea I want to try. Okay, and is that perfect? Definitely not. Can I live with it? Yeah, I think I can. I think I can, and I think I'm definitely going to have to. We have one more movement to make. Let's start making it. We need a road that comes from this highway and connects into this one. So let's grab our normal 2-lane highway, and we're going to convert this back down into a normal 2-lane highway. Then we need to think about where this is actually going to come from. And so again, there's a nice little flat spot right here. So we're going to grab our 3-lane 2-way highway and upgrade this right there for now. Then we'll grab this point, and we really need to decrease our elevation pretty quickly. So we're going to do a nice flat curve right here. It's going to be fairly sharp. So we're going to make sure The grade is 0%, and that's about as close as we're gonna get. And we really need to get to around -5% as soon as possible. And I need to improve the alignment of this because going that way doesn't really make sense. We're already doing all this work. We might as well just start going straight pretty much immediately. And somehow that actually worked. I was only doing that as an example. I think I might be able to live with this though. It's 6%. Okay, and overall, how does that look? Not too bad. You're gonna have a very, very sharp turn here, so you're gonna have to slow down very quickly. All I wanna do is get this a little bit more aligned with the actual road itself. Alright, and after a bunch of work, the curve isn't so intense. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to have to go very, very slow down this road, but at least the size of the curve is just a tiny bit bigger, so you have a bit more room to make the turn. Now last but not least, let's get this connected into this road right here. And overall, here's our interchange. I kind of like it though. It feels crazy in a good way. I'm seeing a few issues that we're going to clean up. This right here should only be a one-way. And then over here, we don't have a lot of time to actually merge on, and we're already merging into a hill pretty much immediately. So we're going to upgrade this to be a 3-lane, two-way highway, and we're going to maintain this extra lane all the way until there, maybe even a bit further. I think we could actually continue this pretty much all the way down. Although before we worry about that, I think this easily needs a rework because it's looking a bit rough. What I wish I did instead was actually to move this down just a bit further, because that'll give us a little bit more time to make this curve more gently, and we'll have more time to slope up as well. Now this lane right here that merges over has a much better angle and much more time to do it safely. They're no longer merging on the angle, they're merging before it. And all of this is connected up in a way that doesn't require a switchback, but did require significantly more work. So we have a key underneath here. I tried to raise the terrain just a bit. Really all I want is these little side rails right here. Otherwise, this doesn't feel very safe if we don't have it. I want to start building out some sites, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this land and flatten it just a bit. So this will be one main lot, and then let's see, we'll have another one over here, and that'll be our second lot. We're going to need at least 3, so maybe our third one will be right here. I feel like this is pretty much perfect. And this one will need a bit more work to feel integrated. Now that we have all of this in place, what we can do is we can grab our 2-lane road, and from this point, we're going to send it directly up, and we're going to go up 5.8%. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm not going to worry about it. Then we're going to immediately curve, and we don't want to go down, so we want to increase our elevation. And now we want to meet up somewhere around here, and we want to have a road that goes up here. I'm going to drop our elevation back down to 0, find this flat spot right here, and just try and follow it a little bit longer. Now we can curve directly into this road right here. And that gives us -4.2%. So we're gonna fix this because we don't need to go this high. And that right there gives us our main road into this area. And now we're gonna curve back alongside this contour line. And now the reason we want this is because we're actually going to meet back up right here. So we're going to send this all the way down until right about here. We can see that little circle at the end is starting to go up to the next contour line. So right here will help us stay nice and flat. Now we're going to grab onto this contour line slightly higher and send another straight segment. And now we have somewhat of a circulation road. I am tempted to formalize this though and make sure that people actually follow this, so we could make this entire road a one-way. I don't know if this will stay. We'll have to see how everything flows first. Now this right here I believe is our highest point, unless they're roughly the same. So this is 588 meters and this is 588 meters. Okay, wow, that worked out too well. I did want one of them to be higher though, because then we put one of our bigger buildings on there, but it doesn't even seem like we have to. I think given that this is the more premium lot, if I had to pick, we're going to put our most important building on here. Now we don't actually have any colleges, universities, or research unlocked, so let's unlock it all. College is done. University done. Technical university, I think we'll also unlock just in case. Our telescope, why not? A geological research center for sure. And our medical university, maybe. And now let's take a look at some of our buildings that we have. So the China Pax University has a very, very specific style that I don't really want to add. Our modern university is pretty nice. It feels a bit flat, a bit bland and boring, and it's not exactly as grand as I want it to be. This university just takes up way too much space and feels a bit ancient. Our modern technical university isn't too bad. It's not as high as I'd like to see, but I think this one has upgrades which could make it worth it. The parking is a bit crazy. The vanilla technical university is just way too big. And our medical university, I don't think we're fitting this anywhere. Not on this terrain at the very least. And then we do have two more left. We have our Netherlands University. It feels kind of modern. Feels like something I could see in this area. And then we have the Japan University, which to me feels more like a hospital. So I think what we're going to do is use a mix of the Netherlands, the modern university, the modern technical university, the modern community college, and maybe the Netherlands College Auditorium. So let's first work on our modern technical university. And I just want to know right off the bat, if we put this in, can we get it to fit in a nice way? Let's try it right there. In terms of our upgrades, of course they snap to the side of the building. The Technical Academy building snaps to the side. The Modern Student Plaza is actually within the footprint, which is just great. Let's add that on right away. The extension wing is also within the footprint. Awesome, we're going to add that. And our last extension wing is also within the footprint, so we'll add that too. We might revisit these upgrades later, but for now, that'll be this building. We're going to need a road to connect into this building. And with our train connection, it's not going to be easy. So we really have a few options. Branch off, make an at-grade connection, or we can bridge over. Those are really the only two options. Going under probably isn't going to help us very much, because if we go under, then we have to make up all that extra height when we're coming back up. We obviously need more than just one connection into this area, so I'm thinking we could actually have multiple. Let's start with the most straightforward one, and that'll be right here. We're going to branch off with a one-way alley, and we're going to start making our way up to our train track connection. That right there is 6.5%, which really is not good enough. So here's 4%. Here's 5. And somehow this actually works. So this is 4%. It's a pretty big elevated segment. I think for the meantime, I'm actually going to take this. And if I need to, I'll fix anything later. But I'm just happy to get a road in and not have to make an at-grade connection. That's the dream. The connection point for this building is actually right here though. So we're going to grab our 2-lane road and just snap right to the front of this building. And I just redid the road with a little bit of grading this time. That way it's nice and flat. Now let's wrap this road all the way around this building. And again, this time I want to do the grading beforehand. So we're just going to flatten out an entire pad right around this building. We're going to grab everything with Move It and set it all to be the same height as right here. Now with our alleyway, what we can do is connect this into this road. And it's coming on a bit of a rough angle. So let's pull this back a tiny bit. And now we're just going to curve in, add a 90. And I'm tempted to just make that a highway segment. I feel like it looks a bit odd when it's just an alleyway. There we go. That's much better. And now we actually have an amazing opportunity. So this station right here has connections on both sides. So if we flatten this out a little bit more, then run our road directly in front of it, pedestrians will be able to get off on either side, and they can make their way back up to the school. So we do need a connection from down here, and it's probably going to be very rough. I'd say very is an understatement. We're going to have to come from this point. It's the only way I can see us getting down all the way to here. So let's flatten out this little corner right here, and we'll just pull it back. We're going to extend our road down a tiny bit so we have a nice little flat segment, because we're going to slope all the way up here. And that's 5%, but I'm honestly not too worried about that. I think that's fine. And that right there is pretty much perfect. Now we're going to take this road and connect it into somewhere around here. It'll have to be a flat spot. And it looks like we do have one right at the top of this hill. We're going to increase our elevation as high as we can go until we get 0%. And now we have two big issues. We have a very sharp turn that we need to make almost immediately, and a bunch of terrain that we need to make our way down from. It actually doesn't come out too bad at negative 6.8%, and I think I can accept it. What I can't really accept is this curve. It just looks so bad. And I honestly don't know if that's any better, but it feels better. Now we're also going to branch two connections into these roads right here, because as it is right now, we only have one connection into this area, and that's just not good enough. So right here should give us enough room to branch up. That's 3.8%. That's not too bad at all. So we're going to use our parallel road tool. We'll have about 0.5 units of separation. This spot right here is fairly flat, so we'll pull it down. And right here gives us negative 4.1%. We're going to work with what we got, and this is what we got. I think it's time to finally give water, sewage, and power to this area, because we have 553 students in this building alone who are somehow doing their schoolwork without any utilities. I can imagine one of the university professors giving some sort of lecture in a completely dark, pitch black classroom, and the idea of that is just kind of funny, so let's try and help them out. To make things fairly straightforward, we're going to grab our Netherlands substation. We'll place it in right there. Now this building also has a fiber optics box that we're going to add on. Now I don't actually think we have any other substations in the city, and no, we definitely don't. What that means is we need to actually build out another transformer station, and I think we're going to build that right over here by our city services. For now I'm going to place it right about here, so let's make a little bit of space for it. And now we can grab our high voltage power line, and we're going to send that off to the side of our waste management facility, and then we're just going to continue this pretty much all the way down until we get to our Netherlands substation. Now finally we can take our electric cable, and we're going to put them right underneath the road to connect into our grid. And we'll also take our water and sewage and do it along one side just like that. Alright, there's our utilities in. We shouldn't see any more issues. Now these 647 students can learn in peace. Now I believe to satisfy all of our schooling needs, all we really need is a college. Yeah, we have a capacity of 17,000 for a university, and for our college, we have 3,276 eligible. So we're going to grab our modern community college, and we're just going to slap this down right here, and I think we're going to face it towards our university. And that unlocks us the round office and the Eastern European office. Now in terms of our buildings, this is pretty much it. This has a capacity for 5,000 students, so we're pretty much perfect on that. We don't have to worry. All of a sudden, we only have 1,300 eligible. The game is bamboozling me. Let's actually connect in the road. So we'll have our main road that goes across right here. And then we need the road that actually connects down into here, and that's negative 5.2%. And that looks pretty good to me. Down here, let's see if we can try and get one more connection. And that is perfect. A little bit complex, a little bit crazy for no reason, but I think it works. Now on this building, we have the extension wing. We're going to add that right away. And we have our college dormitory. In order to get these in, I want to do something a bit different, and I don't know if it's going to work. I want to try it out though. We'll grab our small pedestrian street, and I want to start terracing. I'm going to snap to the zone grid, go up about 3 tiles, and we're going to do something like that to start. We'll push this all the way back. Now let's grab our college dormitory. We'll snap to the road and place one there and one there. We'll grab from this point in the road and curve in. We'll do a bit of grading right here to make sure everything's going to work. and we'll snap to this tile right here. And that somewhat mirrors what our actual road layout is. It's not perfect, but I'm not too worried about it. Now, I still feel like we could get way more college dormitories in here, so let's push the train back even further. And that is one shiny building. Now, we still have our sports field, and I thought about having something else here, but I think the sports field might be a better addition. We'll have to watch out because our tunnel is down there. And that's pretty much perfect. Now in Find It, we can pull up the other sub-buildings from other main buildings just by searching for their name. So we have a few libraries that we can pick from. And I like this university library right here. I believe it comes from the Modern University. Now we just need to find somewhere to place this. We're a little bit short on space now, so we're definitely just going to place it right here then. And then if we grab our pavement paths and we just follow alongside this building and set everything to be roughly the same height. Now we can put a key wall on this. And that's not too bad. Then let's put a retaining wall alongside this road. Bring the height back up. And that's so much better. I don't know why I didn't think of the retaining wall first. Let's get rid of these pedestrian paths. We don't need them anymore. And that right there is looking much better than if we just use the key walls and the pedestrian paths. Now I'm just going to go through, make a few fixes, clean a few things up. Alright, and so I cleaned a lot of stuff up. I tried to get the key walls and the retaining walls in a somewhat decent place, and they're much better than they were before. I also added in this road right here, thinking that they don't really have all that much access to the highway itself. If they wanted to leave, they'd have to come down this road, turn left here, and then they could enter it. And that just feels a bit complex. So to make it even more complex, I added this expensive road. Would it happen in real life? I don't know. Does it improve our connectivity? Kinda, yeah. Now I'm a bit worried because I noticed I didn't see the trains come from either Ashland or Lithia Bay, not even once. So let's check our lines and see what's going on, and I don't even see any lines. But they're definitely still here. Are the stops being made? No, the stops aren't being made. That's pretty interesting. And I think that happened from when I reorientated the train station. Yeah, now we have our two lines, and we're gonna activate them. That way I don't forget. And I wanna see one of these come in. so I'm just gonna wait. Actually, there's a second problem that I've just realized, and I imagine all the train people probably caught it way earlier than I did, and that's, how does the train enter if they're coming from the depot? They have to do exactly what this train is doing right now. They have to back all the way up and then enter in. And there's an easy fix for this. We're just gonna grab onto this point right here, go up at a 180-degree angle, and then just merge directly in. And how does that look? Oh wow, that does not look good whatsoever. Let's try that one more time. Okay, now that is looking much better. It looks like it'll actually work. There we go. Do we have any passengers? Doesn't seem like we have a single one. We're actually going to reduce the train size. We don't need a train that big. That's way too big. Let's just go with this DMU 3 car for the University to Train Station line. And then for the other line, we'll go with a slightly bigger one. Let's go with a 4 car. Just thinking that we wouldn't want people to miss their train to the university. And so more capacity could help with that. But for Lithia Bay, we're going to have constant train lines running back and forth. Let's actually check our schools as well. This one has 1,800 students, and this one has 1,200. Not too bad. I don't think we'll have a problem with university or college pretty much ever again. So with that, I think we're going to move on to some detailing. Now there's lots of things I want to do. I want to make sure we have nice open green space. I want to try and fix anything that I've disrespected. And I just want to make this feel a bit more grand and a bit more integrated. So let's get detailing. And that's where I'm going to allow myself to call it. If I keep going, I will never stop. The rocks alone take so long, but it comes out feeling so much nicer because when you have this kind of hilly area and all you have is this texture right here, it's hard to really see the difference of the terrain itself unless you go all the way down and look. Now that's pretty easy to tell. And ooh, look at that train coming through. It looks so nice. That was a very scenic image. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. I did notice that our university library was burning down, so let's try and get ahead of this before it gets ahead of us. We're going to place this small Netherlands fire station right here. What I'm hoping is that this will be enough to quell any fires that pop up in this area. To make sure though, let's assign this a district. I'm going to say anything on this side of the depot will be the university district. Alright, now we need a name for our university. Right now it's Sunset Town. If you have a suggestion for what the university name should be, comment it below. I'll pick the top 4 choices. We'll run a poll as always, and whatever name wins from the poll is the name we'll go with. And that reminds me, we now have a name for our fishing company. It is now the Lithia Bay Fishing Co-op, and I did rename all of our other districts. I think the only one that doesn't have a name was Heather Way. Alright, now all of their names are changed. I'm not sure what happened, but I know for a fact that I changed them. Let's do one last thing and just check to see what our ridership is for our university train lines. And wow, with Ashland it's 0%. It's 6:25 p.m, so 0% is kind of low. I would have liked to see something a bit higher. Either way, we are officially ready to jump into a quick before and after. And that's a wrap. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Really hope you enjoyed. Huge thanks to all of our amazing Patreon and YouTube members, Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, Freya Stark, Ganger, Griffin, Alpha Supreme, Javante Mormon, Mihai B, Canyon Tiger, Jay Stokes, Middleveen, Vansky, Just a Random American, Bryce Shaddix, and Chris Nolan. I can't thank everyone enough. If you want to help support the channel, get sneak peeks, or explore the saves for yourself, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription go a really long way. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.